is the Big O Show. This 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 is the Big O Show.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available, from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
There we go. Let's try that. All righty. Welcome aboard. Time to have some fun on a Saturday, man. Yeah, that's right. It's a Saturday morning, and we are rocking and rolling today. We're going to have a short program today. We're going to touch base a little bit. Obviously, we got more coverage for you throughout the week. We're going to be joined in a few minutes by Alan Poupar from Sports Illustrated, and, of course, our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insiders Report is what's going to be going on, and we'll be doing that at 10 o'clock. I see already we got, man, Steve Chapman even in first in the morning on a Saturday, which is a beautiful thing already. I can see it all there. I can see the boys and the girls starting to pile in on the chat board on a beautiful Saturday morning. Hope you all are doing well out there. Hope you had a good evening. USA basketball, gold medal winners, which is really, really cool. Nice to see that. Overall, Dolphins practice, practice yesterday. Although they practiced in shorts, so it really wasn't much. There was some news. I saw Manny reported that Jalar Holley and Cameron Williams were dismissed from the team. And obviously Cameron Williams, one of the defensive ends, and they don't have a lot of guys available that have experience. That's the one area that I see with the University of Miami football team. Think about this, man. You're going to go up against Alabama, and if you can't pressure their quarterback, and apparently the new kid that they've got, I mean, you know, Saban's gone from just like average guys at quarterback and winning titles with them to dynamic quarterbacks now, and apparently he's got another one. And apparently he's pretty good. You want to put some pressure on these guys. And that's the one thing when they lost those 3 defensive linemen last year, replacing those guys, that's the one thing. While you have 19 of 22 starters, if you can't pressure, you will expose that secondary. You know what I mean? And so that's going to be tough. I got to admit, that's going to be tough for the Canes. Jeremiah Payton left the team for personal reasons. Holley and Williams had academic issues, so they couldn't survive. John Campbell, the backup left tackle, ended up tearing his ACL. That now they've got a lot of depth on the O-line. It's not like the D-line. The D-line is a monster question mark right now for the Canes. In fact, it looks like they're not going to be special at all in that area until we see something. You know what I mean? So let's hope that they can figure that one out because they don't have a lot of ends left, and Van Dyke was ahead of Garcia as the number 2 guy. De'Aaron King, apparently the arm was a little rusty, they say, in a way, but apparently the leg was fine. He was able to run around. Kid wanted to run at 21 miles an hour, which is funny because there's 21 on the chat board right at this moment. So there's, so he wanted to run 21 miles an hour and all that. So I thought that was kind of a funny line that he used on his teammate when they were actually interviewed after and talked about that. I thought that was kind of interesting, but it's good. I got to admit that the UM season has plenty of drama and questions with it because there's a lot of unknowns. As much as we've watched them, they're an unknown program, right? That's the strange part about the U, is that we haven't seen them turn the corner and become a really good team, a really good program. And that's the job of Manny Diaz, because we're all kind of sitting there and we're waiting for this thing to develop. You know, we've just watched it waffle in mediocrity for a long time, and we want to see an ascending product. You know, kind of like Ethereum right now, almost at $3,100. You know what I'm saying? What is it? Bitcoin's over 44,000. We want ascending products. Okay, there you go. You got crypto, you're ascending, baby, big time right now. Oh, man, it's nice to see that bounce back. That's what we want to see. Like the crypto bounce back that we're watching right now, we want to see that bounce back with the Miami Hurricanes and get back to respectability, something they haven't had in a long, long time. So let's hope that they can get there, man, because that would be really, really nice if they could get back to respectability, man. It would make this entire football season that much sweeter, at least for those of us that are Dolphins and Canes fans. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that are Dolphin fans. You're not necessarily Canes fans. You know what I mean? But those of us that are hometown all the way through, like me, that would make it so much nicer that Saturdays are as fun as Sundays, I think, are going to be for Dolphin fans, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Hoping that they turn the corner. Let me do a little roll call here. Steve Chapman says, good morning, Big O. You got a great show when you can get me up before 9 a.m. on a weekends to smash the like button. Well, thank you, sir. That is awesome. I appreciate you. John Rouse is in the house. He's happy with Ethereum right now. Josh is up. Bromar says, damn, we get Big O on Saturdays now. Well, I told you the show would expand. The coverage would expand. And Alan's going to be part of our Sunday coverage when we get you prepared for the Dolphins games. Remember, we're going to be doing pre and post games at Sports Grill on Bird and 114th and also on Miami Lakes. We'll do half the season at Bird and 114th, half the season in Miami Lakes. So that way you guys will know where we're going to be at for the entire stretch on each side. And they're going to open up a new location in the Doral City Center and it's supposed to be open towards the end of the year. So late December, we could be doing it in the Doral City Center or the playoffs, which, as you all know, the Dolphins are going to the playoffs this year. I just want you to know that, just in case you had no idea about this, the Dolphins are going to the playoffs. So we got Josh in, Bromar in, Omar in, Omar Lopez, Manuel. I'm sorry, man of 1,005 holds. GP Trap says, good morning. That's right. Smash the like button. Please smash the like button. It's beautiful now. All right, let's see. NorCal is in. I like that. Thomas Flores in. I think that the X-Man will stay with the Dolphins. I have some interesting stuff I want to talk about the X-Man. We're going to do it after we talk to Alan, because obviously Alan's going to join us at 10 here, and I only had a couple of minutes to start the show before Alan joins us and does the report. So after we're done with Alan, I've got some stuff. I've got the sound from the coach yesterday. I'm going to play certain sound bites from him, and I want to go over some of those specific sound bites and the messages inside those sound bites that I want to break down and decipher for you guys. Man of 1,005 hosts says, congrats to USA men's basketball team. I agree with that. NorCal says, puff, puff, not give. That's a good one right there. Let's see. John Santos in, Joe Hamilton in, Professor EDR. We've got a professor in the house. I mean, that's as strong as it gets right there, having a professor in the house. Dennis Akers is in. Says, I am a full I'm a full Miami fan apart from college sports, where I'm an LSU fan. You see what I mean? Not everybody's going to be a Dolphins and a Canes fan. And then Chad Marshoni is in, and he says, Fins up. And Josh says, 1 week to the first game. I'm with you there. Felix Soto also says, I'm in, baby. That's a beautiful thing. We'll get Alan Poupar on in, I would imagine, any second now. The great Alan Poupar is going to join us, and we'll have some fun, and we'll talk a little Dolphins football. We'll ask him what he saw yesterday, and we'll discuss all things aqua and orange with Mr. Alan Poupar. Looking forward to that. Marlins and Rockies continue their series tonight. Inter Miami will take on Nashville SC on Sunday at 6:00. I got a couple of other things also that we can talk about too, but I got to wait for Alan to join us so we can get going there. And talk a little Miami Dolphins with the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins report. we just await him. If you have any questions, remember you can reach out, Big O Radio Show at yahoo.com. Twitter, Big O Show is another way to send in your questions. I can see my Twitter feed right in front of me here. So if you need to actually send me a tweet, we will read your tweets and respond to them. And of course, on the YouTube chat board, if you have any questions, as Richard McLean says, Nick Saban, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. Exactly. Herbert Valdez says, have you been to any concerts in L.A.? Yes, sir. I've been to concerts at the L.A. Coliseum. I saw U2 and Rage Against the Machine there. I saw Robert Plant at the Greek Theater. I saw the Bengals at the Troubadour. I saw Iron Maiden at the Forum, U2 at the Forum. What else? Where else have I been for a concert in Los Angeles? I think I'm missing one more somewhere. Forgot. But I've been to a few in LA. I love every time I go to LA, I go because of concerts. Oh, Kiss. I saw Kiss at the Forum also. The Forum is probably the best arena that I've been to for concerts. The acoustics are the best. The way they redid that, and I hate the fact that they're going to end up tearing down the LA Forum when it's all said and done. Because that is going to suck. I know I think that's where they're going to build the new Clippers arena, if I'm correct. So yes, Herbert Valdez, I have been to LA several times, and I've been to concerts in Los Angeles several times. So yes, sir, I have. Even went to the Rams Seattle Seahawks game 2 years ago, actually, at the Coliseum. That was a lot of fun, actually. It was good to be at a historic place, one of the few places we have to watch a little football. All right, it is time now for the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insiders Report with the one, the only Alan Poupart, baby. And you can follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL as he works his way to practice today at 10:30. Good morning, Alan. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, Big O. Just pulled up in the parking lot as we speak.
Aha, so you're already there. I like it. He is ready to rock. He is ready to roll. What do you got to say? And of course, sporting the Expos hat always sporting the killer Expos lid there. All right. So first of all, any thoughts from practice yesterday that stood out to you?
Yeah, it was boring. No, they did a walkthrough yesterday, so
yeah.
I feel bad for any fans who came out there to watch, because I mean it's I want to say half speed, but it's not even that fast. It's a tenth of the speed, so there was nothing really to see.
Yeah, it was all mental reps yesterday, which you know, it's funny because it's boring for us, but it's actually incredibly important for them, because that's kind of how you remember all these plays. And so when you're running them full speed and then you screw up, the coach goes, well, dude, we just ran that like 8 times yesterday. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what it's all about. At times it's boring for us to watch, but for them, these mental reps are incredibly important. All right.
No question. It's part of the preparation process.
I'm with you there. So the day before or yesterday, you guys talked to the coach. And let's go over a couple of the issues. First of all, the conversations with X. What kind of progress do you think is actually being made? Is it just dialogue, or is there actual progress?
Yeah, I think it's more dialogue. And here's one thing I want to point out about the comment that Brian Flores made, the one that was the headline-grabbing comment that we obviously needed to report, which was we don't want to trade X. Notice he didn't say we are not going to trade X, because I would go back to 2 years ago, and I'm going to guess at some point their thinking was, or they're even the public comments, I don't quite remember if they ever said it, but I'm sure they would have said we don't want to trade Laremy Tunsil.
Right.
Well, guess what? They wound up trading Laremy Tunsil. So I certainly do believe that they do not want to trade X. But right now we're still in a situation where he's still not practicing, although he was out there for the walkthrough yesterday. But as we mentioned, they're really not moving, so it's not significant. But he's not out there at practice. and we're in the middle of what's now the new term, a quote unquote hold in.
Yeah.
Where X is here basically so he doesn't get fined.
Like Adams in Seattle is doing the same thing.
Correct. So, I mean, how much progress is being made? Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced. There are reports out there that there are no progress being made, that basically the Dolphins are still in a you will play and you will like it posture, which I'm not sure is really how this is going to play out. Because, again, do you really want a guy on your team who is really, really unhappy, who doesn't want to be there, who has the potential to create issues, whether with quote unquote injuries or, something else? So,
yeah, but you can't say you care about your teammates and then during the regular season you're going to come up with phantom injuries and not play. So he's kind of in a catch-22 here because he can face fines that they can't reverse. He can create lies with injuries, and then he's screwing his teammates. He's screwing himself over. And the Dolphins, in a way, in this whole thing kind of did their part. They gave him the contract because he didn't understand it or whatever. That's his problem. But he's got to be careful, right, Alan, the way he handles this season, because if I'm sure he and his agent had to have sat down finally and said, look, man, money-wise, it's easier for them to trade you at the end of the season. So they might drag this thing on to the end of the year and then trade you at that point because it's a window for them to get out without penalty. Right now, there is some penalty if they trade you because then stuff gets accelerated and it affects them. Financially, it won't affect them at the end of the year. We got to soldier up to the end of the year so we can get out of here and get our money. Or do you think he does create those problems? Because then that makes it harder for them to trade him and harder for him to get more money down the line.
Here's a couple of things, though. Number one, I did the research on this, and the financial implications for the Dolphins, if they were to trade him now, are really not significant at all. I think the numbers may have been because most of his money's already been paid out. He's got nothing guaranteed beyond this year. Also remember that. So he's looking at a situation where you get past this year, and if he's not the Xavien Howard that we've seen before, Dolphins might very well do what they did to Bernard McKinney, which is basically you will take a pay cut and you will like it, or we will cut you. So that's an issue. And
yeah, but they're not cutting him.
They're not cutting him now because he's coming off. He's coming off. But what if his play takes a dip? And
right.
It's not even just the issue of quote unquote phantom injury like the ankle injury he has now, which let's be honest, it's kind of, I don't want to say phantom, but it's certainly, let's just say it's mysterious. It's
I'll say it for you. It's complete BS. But go ahead.
Fair enough. No argument here. But the issue is also you can have a guy who's gonna ball out as much as he can. But human nature is what it is, and if the guy doesn't want to be there and he's completely, pissed off at the organization, that's got a negative impact on the rest of the team, like it or not. So, and I don't think it's black and white. I don't think it's all Xavien Howard's fault that you sign a contract. You have to honor it because again, this game works both ways.
Sure.
So. Yeah. They have to make it work, the bottom line, because they're not as good a team without Xavien Howard. They can't have a situation where he's on the team and his contract is not addressed because he's already put it out there that I want to trade if they don't do anything with my contract. So it's got to play out one way or the other. And again, when Brian Flores says talks are progressing and all that, okay, now I'd like to hear it from the other side. And David Cantor, Howard's agent, is not discussing anything publicly. And Howard spoke last Saturday. And I don't know the next time he'll speak to us. And when he spoke last Saturday, he was basically saying his talks with Brian Flores went nowhere, that There was no movement whatsoever.
Yeah. And he, in a way, he elaborated a little bit more after, Barry was prying in there. And so that was, by the way, that was really a funny line on Coach's part. In a tense situation, at least he has a little bit of a sense of humor, which is actually pretty cool on his part. But it's kind of strange how one side is saying that they're trying to do something and then the other isn't. How much do we read into that, or is it more one side playing the hard line? And you know what I'm saying? Because if there has been some kind of compromise from the Dolphins, man, you would figure we would find out something about that from the other end.
Not only that, if there was a compromise and it looked as though the situation was going to be resolved, I'm guessing that Xavien would develop some very quick healing powers, and he'd be out of practice, and all of a sudden the ankle would feel better. So again, we're getting is one side, because Brian Flores has to speak to the media and he's going to be asked about it because it's obviously a very important issue. And then on the other side, they have chosen the position of not discussing things publicly, which in a way is very commendable.
Sure.
Having said that, again, I'd love to sit down with David Cantor and say, okay, are there progress being made, or is there a resolution in sight other than you will play on your salary and you will like it? And again, I go back to, we don't want to trade X. Of course, they don't want to trade X. It's also possible that right now they just haven't gotten an offer that would make them want to trade X, and that maybe we'll get to that point if a team develops a cornerback need or realizes that maybe they're a cornerback away from maybe having a special season.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Let's see how this whole thing ends up developing. Alan Poupart joining us for our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report. He joins us twice a week. He'll be back next Tuesday for his next report. All right, Alan, when we look at the O-line, that's the one area that I have, my concerns, because they're so young. I think they could figure it out eventually, but I think it's going to take some time, because when you've got that many young people that you're trying to get involved in the offensive line, and you've been around football as long as I have and covering this thing, offensive lines take a while to gel. So what are you seeing right now? What are you comfortable with right now so far? And I know you've only seen pads for 2 days, so you really can't get a great feel for it. So maybe it's a little bit of a stretch to ask you even that question now. Probably better off in another week or two when we've got some more practices in. But talk to us a little bit about your concerns in the offensive line, and maybe are there any comforts for you right now in the offensive line?
Yeah, my concern is as you mentioned, is you got a lot of young guys who are not yet established as high caliber NFL players, who may get there, who may not get there. Who knows? And I'll start with the left tackle, Austin Jackson, which is it's a prime position, even if, and I understand we have a lefty quarterback, so maybe not quite the same as having a right-handed quarterback where he's protecting the blind side. But last year it was kind of a spotty performance by him. And this year, again, they've been in pads only 2 days. I'm not seeing anything that suggests to me that he's ready to make a big leap. I'm not seeing anything, again, prefacing this again by saying it's only 2 practices in pad. I'm not seeing anything that suggests that Liam Eichenberg is going to make a major impact and be a high-end offensive lineman as a rookie. I like Jesse Davis as a right tackle. I think he's solid, except that he told us yesterday about knee swelling management issues he's having, which is why they're holding him out at the end of practices here and there. Well, I'm sorry, but that's kind of concerning when you have a guy who right now figures to play a prominent role, probably start. And again, knee swelling management.
Sounds to me like a guy needs a cleanup and is trying to put it off.
Yep. Or it speaks to a bigger
maybe even
issue.
A larger issue.
Yeah, correct. So that's problematic as well. At center, I like Michael Dieter coming out of Wisconsin, but as a rookie guard, it wasn't great. Now he's 2 years beyond that point. Now they got him at center. What's a realistic expectation for him if he winds up being the starting center, which certainly appears to be the way
awesome.
right now?
That would be amazing if he ends up as your starting center instead of the guard.
But again, what kind of realistic expectations do we have for him at center? So that leaves me with one guy who, based on what I saw last year, based on what I'm seeing so far in training camp, who I'm really high on, and that's Rob Hunt. But that's one guy out of 5. So I would say right now, if you're a Dolphin fan and you're concerned about the offensive line, you have every right to be.
Yeah, that's the one unit that obviously, in order for Tua to do his job, in order for the receivers to get the ball, in order for the tight ends to catch, in order for the running backs to be effective, it starts with the 5 hogs up front. You know what I mean? And it's not only is it new guys, it's new offensive line coach, all these kind of things that are kind of having to come together. So maybe that's the unit that we're asking and the position we're asking to make the biggest strides. over the next month before you start the regular season, man.
Oh, no question. I mean, but right now it's the biggest question mark on the team. And as you said, we can talk about Tua all we want and how much better he's looking this summer than he did last summer. Well, if he's going to have guys on him very quickly, number one, he doesn't have necessarily great speed to get outside. And then number two, he's a fairly short quarterback who needs a clean pocket to be able to find receivers downfield. So there are major issues for this offense if the line doesn't perform.
Alan Poupart joining us. Remember, folks, you can follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. Catch his work there at Sports Illustrated. And, of course, you can catch him here twice a week with the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report. All right, let's go with Noah now. How concerned are you with Noah so far? Because, obviously, he struggled. It's still early. I'm not ready to completely give up on the kid or anything like that. It's silly to give up on him right now. But he's got a learning curve, dude, and And part of this is he's only been in this position for a couple of years. So it's almost like he has to develop the instincts of a cornerback, you know? And the other day when I heard Tua say, you know, I've been playing quarterback since I can remember, that kind of reminded me of Noah, who cannot say the same thing. So the challenge of not developing as a player, but also developing as a player instinctually too. Those challenges. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, actually. That you're looking at a guy. The big issue with Noah, again, as you mentioned, is the instincts aren't there because he started out at Auburn as a wide receiver before they switched him over, and he's got really an intriguing skill set for the position, but he's raw. And he was raw last year. And again, I'm looking for signs. You mentioned it's very early yet, but I'm looking for signs that there's a change, that there's a reason to hope for a big jump, and I'm not seeing him. Going to be very honest with you. I'm not seeing him. I'll tell you this: they have an unknown defensive back cornerback that they signed to a quote unquote futures contract early in January. Those are guys who usually are practice squad fodder. Well, this guy's out playing Noah like crazy. His name's Terrell Bonds, who might end up making the back of the roster, but I'm illustrating the point that he's getting outplayed by guys who should be practice squad players or end of the roster players. And that's highly problematic given where the Dolphins drafted him at a time, especially when they had such a need for a running back and they had their pick of any of the six who wound up being taken in the first two rounds and instead went for Igbenogany based on his ceiling and his long-term potential. The question is, okay, well, when does he get to that potential? Because right now, from what I'm seeing, if the X situation ends up badly, I don't see how you can have Igbenogany as a starter opposite Byron Jones. I think you'd have to go with Nick Needham or even put Jason McCourty back at cornerback, even though I think the preference would be for him to play at free safety. So there's still a long way to go with Igbenogany, and that's a little bit of a problem right now.
So that kid you're talking about, and how about the Syracuse kid? Are those kind of the under the radar guys that are kind of making a little bit of an impact right now? I mean, we might as well talk about some of the other guys because they may end up playing a little bit more. Who give me those guys now? Trill Williams, I think is the kid's name, right?
Yep,
something
Trill
like
Williams. Yeah, and there's something there. From what I've observed, and mind you, I've seen every practice and training camp. I haven't seen Bonds getting beaten badly. I've seen Williams a couple of times. I've seen Williams made a couple of nice plays on the ball as well. And he looks the part also. He's like tall, wears 51, which is kind of weird for a cornerback, but that's beside the point. But he's a guy I could see like sneaking onto the 53-man roster. And the same with this kid, Terrell Bonds. I had somebody ask me in a mailbag I did for SI whether he's starter good or roster good right now. And I would say, well, most of his reps have been against second team and third team. So I would pump the brakes a little bit as far as what his ceiling is. But if this guy winds up on the 53-man roster, something I never thought I would have said when he signed, right now would tell you, yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, and I think next week, once they start the practices with the Bears, those are going to be the telling practices there. I think those are the best things. I love that Flo did that twice now this offseason, that he's going to practice against two teams, because when I was a beat guy, those were my favorite practices to cover because you got the most information about your team during those couple of days because you were in game-like situations. The competitor in the player comes out because they're playing against somebody that's not their teammate. It's a whole different ball game. So I think we're gonna start to get a better feel for this team, I think, next week.
Oh, no question. And I would tell you that joint practices are probably a better gauge for where your team is than preseason games.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. The only thing I don't like is that they cut it down in one day. They used to do it for 3 days. Now they only do it for 2.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that?
Yep.
Because I know that when I was on the beat and they did it against the Chargers and they did it against the Bucks and Houston and Tennessee, I covered a whole bunch of those. It was usually 3 days. And to this day, I still remember them doing it against the Bucks and Jimmy Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came to Miami for that one because there was one in Tampa that we did in Disney that I remember somebody, the former linebacker slammed Thurman Thomas to the ground. Do you remember that? And then that started a fight. But anyway, I one of my funniest memories ever of all of that was they would put these big ass cushions right in the middle of the field to cover the camera guy. Because that truck, you ran into the wheels and the steel of that truck, you were done, dude. So they put these big ass, cushions, right? And the fans are sitting in the stands, and Warren Sapp goes and leans in the middle of that cushion, lowers his pants, and takes a leak. Okay, in the middle of the field, right? Now the fans can't see it because he's in between the cushions. We can see it because the angle we're looking at it between the cushions. And we're all like, luckily there were no phone cameras in those days, right? So nobody's taking any pictures of it because if not, I'm sure somebody would have taken, because it was all from behind anyways. You can't see it. So he kneels down, he takes a leak, and then he stands up and he's like tightening up his pants and he walks, towards us, towards the field. And that's when Jimmy's walking out of the locker room. And right away they shake hands and we start laughing because he has no idea what Sapp was doing like 60 seconds ago.
That's
so,
funny. No, my memory of our recent joint practices was 2015 in Spartanburg, South Carolina, when they're practicing with the Panthers. And they have 2 fields. And on one day, Kelvin Benjamin tears an ACL for the Panthers. And on the next day, Louis Delmas tells an ACL for the Dolphins, and we're on the wrong field. So we see him go down, and all of us Dolphin writers start jogging across the field to go see what's going on. And there's some Carolina players on stationary bikes behind the end zone, and they're giving us a hard time, and they're like insulting us for running to see why a player's injured, telling us we need to give the man his respect. And we're looking at them like, dude, that's our job.
That's our job.
We're supposed to report what's going on. That's our job. Sorry about that.
Right, exactly. It's like, it's not something cold and callous. It's just your job, dude. What are you going to do? You don't wish the injury. You just got to, unfortunately, cover the injury, man. You know what I mean? It is what it is, but I am looking forward to it. Anything else you want to, let's end it on a positive note. You got anything positive that you really like that you've seen so far in the first couple of days of padded practice?
Bernard McKinney.
Oh, thumper.
Man. Yeah, I first saw him when they first started training camp, and this was no pads and all that. And I'm like, that dude is big. And then they start with the padded practices, and I look, and every single running play when he's on the field, he's either in the backfield or the first one making contact. I mean, man. Yeah. I'll give you another one.
Dude, he's Brandon Spikes. That's what he is. Yeah. That's what he is for Flo. He's Brandon Spikes. He's the 2-down linebacker. It's going to be a thumper, short yardage. He's going to knock the hell out of people. That's what they brought. That's why they limited his salary, because they know he's not a pass rusher, and he's not a guy that can cover in space either. He's limited in that sense, and that's why they probably controlled his salary and brought it down, because they view him as a 2-down guy, not a 3-down guy.
By limiting his salary, you mean they completely slashed it. Here's the thing, though, that I can't but wonder, that's puzzled me since that happened, is He had 3 years left with no guarantees. It's basically and this year we're supposed to make 7.7 million or something like that. So it basically was, you're going to take a $3 million contract for this year. We're going to chop off the next 2 years, basically, or you're cut. Now, I have a hard time with the notion that him and his agent wouldn't talk. And I understand he's coming off a shoulder injury, but man, him and his agent couldn't have decided, no, you're going to do that. We're going to see what else we can find out there, that nobody would have given him.
I have a feeling
this. For $3 million,
I got to tell you
million.
something. I have a feeling this was talked about during the trade. I'm sure that they talk about, hey, yo, we got to fix this if we're going to make this trade because we view you this way. I doubt you completely, ambushed him like this and say, oh, yeah, we traded for, okay, listen, you're a 2-down guy in our eyes. We're not going to pay a 2-down guy $7 million and Ty, you're coming back from a shoulder injury. I'm sure that had to have been talked about between Greer and the agents. Something.
Yeah, but he never had to accept that. Even the trade. I mean, did they want to play for the Dolphins that badly? Because he could have, even if it did come up at the time of the trade, him and his agent could have said, no, we're not cutting the salary. And in which case, then the Dolphins are going to pay him what he has left, or
unless his agent called around, and checked with a couple of teams that his client fits the scheme. Correct. And they're like, yeah, we're not that interested. Because Brandon Spikes would have had a longer career in the NFL if he could have gotten on the field on third down. After the Patriots, he just didn't have a lot of options because not a lot of teams are going to actually roster a guy that they can only play on 2 downs. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the Xavien Howard situation from 2 years ago. They thought, okay, well, we'll use the other guys. We'll use them as a power runner, short yardage, all that stuff. And then it never really translated. And then they had to move on from it. And I think those limitations are what's hurting him.
No, I understand. I still, mind you, this is a guy who made the Pro Bowl 3 years ago. So We're not talking about a stiff here. No, it's possible that's what happened. I just find it surprising. That's all.
All right, I know you got to go. You got to do your thing. I appreciate you as always, my brother. Knock it out in practice. Thank you for taking some time and dropping knowledge. All the fans really appreciate it.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thanks, Big O.
You got it, my brother. Be good. There you go. Expos all the way. You got to love it. Alan Poupart, make sure you follow him on Twitter. Poupart NFL, baby. Follow him. He's the man. Getting it done. Love it, man. Alan Poupart right there, baby. Sports Grill, Miami Dolphins Insiders Report. Nice job by him. And that's the thing about, we've talked about the Bernard McKinney move. And I know that a lot of people talk about this, but it's hard to think that you were completely ambushed that way after that trade. Knowing that Greer is a guy that I think communicates with people overall, they had to have said, hey, listen, we're going to trade for you, but we view you differently. We're going to have to rework this deal. And then I'm sure in that process, that's where the agent has to then do his due diligence. And, okay, well, my client fits this scheme and that scheme. Let me see if they need it. And then you find out whether somebody is interested, and then you can go out and get more money just in case. You can say, no, we're not going to accept that deal. We're not going to accept this. And then you follow through with your other options. I'm wondering if he actually had those other options that were willing to pay him the same amount of money with the shoulder injury and all that other stuff, man. So we'll see. We'll see how it all ends up developing. All right. We got a couple things that we want to talk about today on the program. We appreciate all of you out there, and we appreciate, of course, Alan Poupart. All of this will be podcasted, so if you missed any of it, we will definitely have it up. The coach yesterday addressed all kinds of things, and I want to go over some of the stuff that Coach Flo talked about yesterday on the program, and I want to kind of break it down and decipher it a little bit. First of all, his comments about not wanting to trade X.
Brian, could you see any scenario where you and Chris acquiesce to his trade request, or do you want him on this team, period? He will be on this team, period.
We don't want to trade X. Write that down. So he's a very good player. He's a big part of the team. We don't want to trade him.
All right. So, and Alan mentioned it in his interview that we don't want to trade him is the difference that we're not going to trade him. It's we don't want to trade him. Okay. They don't want to trade Laramie Tunsil. But if Bill O'Brien's going to offer an incredibly crazy ass deal, yeah, we'll trade Laramie Tunsil. You can have him. Unfortunately, we love him, but damn, you can't turn down that kind of trade. You know what I'm saying? So that part there, you can obviously decipher that he's not going to put the end all be all on it, because then when you do trade him, you say, hey, man, you said you weren't going to trade him. Now, I've kind of been, you know me, I have, unfortunately, a cynical approach at times to all of this because of my experience over the years with this. I still think they are going to trade him at the end of the year. I think they don't want to ruin their opportunity this year. They got the team together, and I think the Noah thing was kind of a plan of a couple of years before you can actually put him out on the field. And so I think they know probably that Noah isn't ready yet to be on the field. So I think they want to milk it one more year, get another year of production out of him, get another year where he's removed from a knee injury. And he's 2 years also, again, removed from any kind of domestic issue. All of those things are behind him. And in a way, X has to blame himself for not knowing his own contract, but X and all of the NFL players have to also blame themselves for agreeing to certain rules, like the holdout now, where you can't hold out anymore because the $50,000 a day fine is not reversible anymore. They used to be able, you'd hold out for 10, 20, 30 days and you would amass $1 million, $2 million in fines. And then when the guy finally reported, they'd kind of make him disappear and all that, and they give him a break. Those days are done. But you agreed to that as players in the collective bargaining agreement. So you kind of put your own people. See, this is part of the problem in the NFL, that their players' union is not very smart. It's actually pretty stupid. Let's just call it like we see it. They get smoked every time at the negotiation table. They are the dumbest group that there is in pro sports. Baseball obviously is the best. Basketball is very smart. Okay. Hockey has their salaries guaranteed, while they don't enjoy the same kind of money that the other leagues, but damn, at least it's guaranteed. And let me tell you, their sport is probably more physical than football, right? I mean, it's 82 games plus the playoffs. It takes a tough hombre to play football, and it takes a tough hombre to play hockey. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Bobrovsky, you can't get rid of that shit. You're stuck with that. You're stuck with that like herpes, bro. You're stuck with that like a luggage that's with you forever. You know what I'm saying? You can't get rid of it. In football, you can get rid of anything, and you'll recover. Okay? You might take a setback for 1 year, cap hit, whatever, but then you recover after that. Or 2 years like the Dolphins did with Ndamukong Suh, that they had $19 million of dead money 1 year and $13 million of dead money another year, which is cap space you can't use. So, you know, the players themselves have kind of put themselves in this position. So they don't want to trade them, but they've got them by the balls. And it's like what I talked about with Allen. You want to play this game? You want to act like a dick? You want to hold out? Now you're gonna hurt yourself even more in trying to get traded. I told you guys this. If you listen to the show every day, I did a segment that I said, did you learn your lesson, or you want to be Le'Veon Bell? And so I truly feel that X is in a position where he's got to go and ball out once the season starts. And then when the season's over, he's got to kind of put his foot down and then say, hey, man, we need to work this thing out. You guys got to get rid of me. I got to get out of here. And then that's when they will acquiesce, and they will open the doors, and then, hey, let's go. What are the offers? And they're going to know where teams stand after the season because of the draft picks. all of these kind of things will take place throughout this whole mess. You know what I'm saying? So Flo says, we don't want to trade X, but he says we're not going to trade X. That's a whole different ball game right there. That's not the commitment he made because he can't make that commitment. He's got to stay open to that because if somebody comes with a crazy ass deal, and obviously right now people are lowballing the Miami Dolphins and Greer's not buying any of the offers that are coming in, he's probably not shopping it. Knowing Greer right now from what we've watched the first couple of years, this is a hardline negotiator. This is not a guy that flinches, and this is not a guy that's going to show you his cards. He's been a pretty damn good negotiator so far in these first couple of years. So I would imagine he's got the player by the balls. The guy has to actually hold in. So he's got to go through everything all day long. Even if he's not practicing, he's still in the meetings. He's still walking around. He still has to watch practice. He still has to be present the entire day. So he's still stuck there. So eventually, once the season starts, he's going to have to play. And here's the other thing. You don't want to create a mess because then if you do that, you already have a track record. That doesn't help you. What you need to do is go out there and ball out, but he's going to have to psych himself out and play and understand that he's playing for himself and not for the team and not for the coaching staff and not for the front office. He's got to kind of psych himself out that, all right, I'm going to ball out this year. I'm going to play again, and I'm going to force people to want to trade for me and give me Jalen Ramsey money. And I will definitely get to that, okay? Now, when Flo talks about conversations with X, okay, that is one. Not just would you trade X, but are you, what's it called? Are you talking with X? And here is what when he talks about the conversations with X.
You and X, and I know you declined to discuss details of conversations, but can you share if it's true? Have you and X had any productive or positive conversations over the last week, either in your office or on the field?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to X pretty much every day. I think every conversation is productive. We've gotten into specifics of, X's and O's, contracts, things of that nature. And I think they've been productive. Like I said last week, I think we're moving in the right direction. And, we'll just continue to keep talking to him and his representation. And again, I think we want these things to happen quickly. They want them to happen right now. But some things take time, and we'll work through it and hopefully come to the best resolution for all sides.
Now the question I have is, what kind of resolution is the other side looking for? And I just mentioned Jalen Ramsey. So I'm wondering, does X want to get paid? Because a lot of you and a lot of us in the media and a lot of fans will give him the $4 million so he can, make the same kind of money Byron Jones is making. Maybe he wants to make Jalen Ramsey money. Anybody thought of that? Nobody talks, right? Nobody knows what's going on. Right? One side says they're talking and they're progressing. X says we had conversations, but they go nowhere. So what's nowhere mean? Remember, we're talking about a guy that has been an issue for one reason or another since he signed, since he got drafted. Okay? So whether it's a knee injury, whether it's a domestic violence issue, or now whether it's a contractual issue. Okay, he's the one that wanted to get paid, right? He got paid. But then he didn't know his contract, didn't bother to actually look into it. Obviously was too damn lazy to ask about it. Just assumed that, hey, yeah, I'm just going to sign. Didn't ask a damn thing. Because, of course, when you go buy a house, you just sign. You don't look at the fine print. When you go buy a car, you just sign. That's all. The financial part, the financing, you just sign, don't you? Don't you just sign? Right? Because that's all we do. Oh, tell me where to sign. We don't read jack, right? Of course we read. Of course we try to find out what the fine print says. Right? You go buy that Best Buy thing for 18 months, no interest. You got to find out, okay, what is the entrance? What is the date? What is this? Is there a minimum payment, or can I go 3 months without a, right? You start asking all these things because people with actual common sense do that. And so this is a guy that has been an issue. As great a player as he is, there's always something up his ass. Every single time. There's some problem. So, the other thing that I want to, but again, if nobody talks, and we don't know. So, do you want Byron Jones money, or because you're better than Byron Jones, do you want Jalen Ramsey money? What are you asking for? Because nobody talks. We assume he just wants Byron Jones money. But wait a minute. He probably sees himself in the Jalen Ramsey category. Anybody thought about that at all? And maybe that's where Greer's saying, no, dude, no, enough. You sign your contract. Okay? And we'll give you a couple incentives that you can easily reach and help you out. Oh, no, that's not enough. We want Jalen Ramsey money. I don't know. I have no idea. As I've told you, I think it's a terrible precedent that the Dolphins would set to rework a deal that's a year old. Okay? I think you then now open Pandora's box, and anytime a player excels in their first year of their deal, or second year, let's say, and it's a 5-year deal, they're going to come to you and say, well, we've already outperformed our deal. You did it with X. We feel we deserve the money, and we deserve what the number one guy is getting now. So we want you to rework our deal the way you did with X. I'm afraid of that. And then that causes, and then while your tenure there on the team, because you set that precedent, you may now have to cross that over and over again, creating more of these issues. By the way, breaking news, Jimmy Butler has signed his 4-year, $184 million extension to stay with the Heat. I will throw up after the show. Anyway, so we really don't know. Okay? We have no idea what the need is from X and his agent. So let's not assume that it's just Byron Jones. That's the narrative that we've all created because of the IG post. But we are talking about a guy that finds a way to complain about everything. And so how do you know that he doesn't want Jalen Ramsey money now instead? That's the part. Maybe he doesn't want just the same amount of money Byron Jones is getting. No. We're way better than Byron Jones. We want Jalen Ramsey money. These are things that you have to kind of take into account. Richard says, give him a 1-year deal, $19 million, and tear up the existing contract. You can't do that, Richard, because then you put yourself in a position where trading him makes him that much harder because you've lost leverage because it's only a 1-year deal and he's a free agent then. And then what are you going to do? Tag him? And then you're going to take up hard cap number? That doesn't work that way, Richard. You have him by the balls now. You control him. You trade him on your terms. He can't do anything about it. Okay? I mean, listen, he hasn't been very smart as it is, hitting women or handling his contract, right? Let's be honest now. All right? So is he going to be dumb enough to also hold out and lose out on $50,000 a day? That would not be smart by X at all. Now, the other one that he talks about, and I want you to listen to this cut, all right? Listen to this cut. I'm going to break down something that's really key here that Flo is talking about with the media, all right, on his conversations with X and his agent.
Of course, as you pointed out to us during June, it's an unusual thing for a guy to ask for change his contract 2 years after signing a long-term extension. That said, have you and Chris sitting in a room, while not prying, have you and Chris sitting in a room said to yourselves, let's just do a little something, a nice gesture for him, just to make the player happy since he was really good last year, and just to put this behind us, let's do a little something contractually for him?
Not prying.
So Brian hasn't said that, but Chris has said that?
Not prying. Well, I'll say this. Last week, I stood up here, and I've said it again. Talks are progressing. I'm not going to get into the details of those conversations, but talks are progressing. You take for that what you want. And again, this isn't these things that they take time. But as long as the lines of communication are open, as long as everyone's willing to compromise, then we can get something done.
You hear the end? As long as everyone is willing to compromise. So how have they come into these negotiations? Are they willing to compromise? Because they have no leverage. Contract signed. There's 4 years left. They paid their signing bonus. They did it. Dolphins did everything they were supposed to do. It was a top-notch deal right there when he signed it. Whether he was the top guy, second highest, I don't care. That's his problem, not mine, not the Dolphins. That's X's problem. So compromise. It's a really key word that he says there, and that's a really key message he sends out. So they have all the leverage. It's up to compromise now. And that's why I mentioned Jalen Ramsey money. Is there a compromise? Is he or do they want an absolute home run too on top of all of that? You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot more to this than what's being said. There's no doubt in my mind, because if everybody is holding in the way they are now, one side's not talking at all. The other side says, well, they had some kind of dialogue. They must know about where the other side stands, right? And where they feel they should be. And that's why I mentioned the Jalen Ramsey thing, because it came to my mind, and I'm going, okay, well, we're talking about, okay, an agent that needs to get paid now because he's not getting paid without a new deal. So he's going to want to negotiate the biggest deal possible. But they may not even be willing to give you the same amount of money to get to Byron Jones. So maybe you started with Jalen Ramsey so you can bring it a little bit down. But they're not willing to go to those stratospheres. Maybe they're only willing to give you some incentives to improve your salary at the moment. Do you know why? Why the hell should the Dolphins give you Jalen Ramsey money? Why the hell should the Dolphins give you $4, $5, $6 extra million? Because then everybody else is going to ask for that too. So if you sign Gesicki in the next 2 months, and then he goes out this season and has 15 touchdowns, and then he comes back and says, hey, wait a minute, man, you're not paying me like Kelsey. I need Kelsey money. No, I scored 15 touchdowns. I had 1,100 yards. I played Travis Kelsey. You're paying me a lot less now. I know I just agreed to that deal. But no, you gotta pay me more. That's what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's coming. It's not whether you think Gesicki is that or not now. Okay, that has nothing to do with it. It's my point. And that's the Pandora's box that you open. And so I want to know, what's Jalen Ramsey, what's X asking for? Is he asking for Byron Jones money? Are you sure about that? or is he asking for Jalen Ramsey money? Or somewhere in between both? And if you're the Dolphins, what kind of a problem are you creating for yourself? And in the end, the Dolphins signed him to a long-term contract before his rookie contract expired. They compromised. The Dolphins gave him a fat-ass signing bonus. They compromised. He rewarded them with a domestic violence issue. They stood by him. Compromise. Okay? He didn't give back any money after he was out for a year and a domestic violence issue. He didn't play under that contract and that fat-ass signing bonus that they gave him. Only played a couple games and he was out. And the team won 5 of 9 games down the stretch without him. And they beat New England in New England. So, when we talk about compromise, when we talk about support, when we talk about understanding, I've seen everything from the Dolphins. What, up until this point, there's no compromise? Or up until this? But the question is, they've done everything on their end as a team. X has not done everything as a team. He didn't behave off the field the way he's supposed to, like the way most of us do in society, period. Not just working for a football team. I don't hit women ever, and I'm 54 years old, and I've never had to have a domestic violence issue, and guess what? I never will. It's not that hard, by the way, folks. So this is a guy that hasn't done his part. This is a guy that's missed games too. This is a guy that's had several knee surgeries. They still gave you that money with all those knee surgeries. People were questioning that deal 2 years ago and that agreement because of all those knee surgeries. Come on, man. So when we talk about compromise, when we talk about meeting somebody halfway, I think the Dolphins have overextended themselves in this one. And in my book, okay, I'll steal a line from Animal House. In my book, okay, X is still on double secret probation. Okay, I'm old school, dude. I'm old school. You're not even 2 complete years removed from the domestic violence issue. You're not even 2 years removed from another knee surgery. In my eyes, dude, you need a few years to earn some juice back with me. That's the way I am. But in his eyes, I screwed up. I had an injury, but whoa, I gave you 1 great year, and then that's it. You've got to reward me. This is the epitome of millennials. This is the epitome of Generation Zs. This is what they are. They don't have enough commitment. They don't prove enough to then want to warrant what they think they deserve. That's an attitude that permeates all over our society. I barely do enough, but I want a ton of credit for it. Yeah, you had a great year. What did you do the year before, bro? What did you do the year before? Squat. You were a negative the year before. Where's the compromise? Right? Maybe X and his agent should have come to the Dolphins and said, hey, guys, we had a monster year last year. We're not going to ask you for more money, but we want to tell you ahead of time, okay? Yeah, we had some issues 2 years ago. You guys stood by us, and we really appreciate that. But my talent is equal to Jalen Ramsey. If we go out and have another great year this year, we need to sit down and do it all over again and extend this deal or redo it or whatever. At least you do that. But you just give 1 great year and then all of a sudden, no, you got to give me my money. No, man. I'm sorry. That doesn't work that way. And so that's why when I hear this soundbite.
Of course, as you pointed out to us during June, it's an unusual thing for a guy to ask for change in his contract 2 years after signing a long-term extension. That said, have you and Chris sitting in a room, while not prying, have you and Chris sitting in a room said to yourselves, let's just do a little something, a nice gesture for him just to make the player happy since he was really good last year. And just to put this behind us, let's do a little something contractually for him.
Not prying.
So Brian hasn't said that, but Chris has said that.
Not prying. Well, I'll say this. Last week, I stood up here and I've said it again. Talks are progressing. I'm not going to get into the details of those conversations, but talks are progressing. You take for that what you want. And again, this isn't so these things that they take time. But as long as the lines of communication are open, as long as everyone's willing to compromise, then we can get something done.
Good job by Barry, by the way. That was Barry Jackson in that question. The one before was Joe Shad asking the other one, just to give those gentlemen the credit that they deserve since they asked the question. Anyway, just compromise. When he said that yesterday, that stood out to me, and that's a message that was sent to you, the fans, to the media, and to X and his agent. So what is the compromise? You know what I mean? It's really simple to say, I'll pay the guy his money. Yeah, I know he deserves it. He had a great year. Not great years. He had a great year after you gave him the extension. Okay, well, he kind of made up for the year before. That's kind of the way I look at it with X. Like, dude, you were out last year. So, yeah, I'm glad you got the 10 interceptions, but that makes up for the fact you didn't play last year. Makes up for the fact that you weren't there the final week of the season in New England to beat the GOAT in his backyard and knock his ass out of the bye week. You weren't there. Nick Needham was there. You weren't. What's the compromise? That's what I want to know. Because as far as I'm concerned, I think the Dolphins have done everything that they had to do and they need to do. I'm just, again, the old school in me doesn't reward people just that easily. You got to earn it, man. And you don't earn it with just one great year. Dolphins gave you a great contract. You give them one great year, let's go, bro. Back it up. Back it up. Give them a few great years and then say, hey, man, can you guys reward me? I've been, lights out. I've been the best corner in the NFL. I've been this, whatever. And then there you go. But I love the convenience of this discussion and this argument. Everybody talks about 2020. Nobody talks about 2019. Oh, no, but he had a great year. Well, what about the year before? Hamana. You got nothing to say. So they gave you a fat-ass signing bonus. What did you give them? A knee injury and an embarrassing situation. Wow, you really rewarded the team. Way to go. Nice. You giving the money back from the year before? Why don't you do this, X? Give back the millions you didn't earn in 2019 when the Dolphins gave you that big-ass signing bonus. And you know what? Then the Dolphins will give it back to you after that this year now. Right? Since you didn't earn it in 19, right? And you think you earned it in 20, right? And you want more money, well, give back the 219 money, and then they'll give it back to you, and there you go. That's your bonus. Not only did the guy get a fat-ass signing bonus in 2019, he also got a freebie salary for doing jack shit. But nobody mentions that. Let's just talk about the one great year. Let's not talk about the crappy year. Right? I love how this argument is completely one-sided, and the Dolphins are absolutely evil. It's like the Bernardrick McKinney one. Did anybody tell you that he was a two-down linebacker? Anybody break that down the way I did? Why they're not going to pay him $7 million? Why they're not going to extend the contract? Why they want to do it? Because they got to do the responsible thing. I love it how we used to have a team for many years now that didn't know how to spend, that would just spend ridiculously, would throw away money constantly every single year. And this team tries to be smart with the cap as much as possible. They're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. Flowers, Van Noy, that's fine. It's going to happen. You're going to make some mistakes, but like you're going to get a lot of things right too. And that's what they're doing. So compromise, ladies and gentlemen. Where is the compromise is what I want to know. Let's see if we got any questions here on the YouTube chat board. Let's see. And remember, please, to smash the hell out of the like button. Thank you very much, all of you out there. And Donnie Urig, thank you, sir, giving us a little love on Venmo, which, remember, you could give us a little love on Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. It's another way of supporting the show. That's Cash Big O Show. Let me see what we got here. Maybe Noah practiced poorly to help X get the money they did practice in the summer. Oh, Richard, they're not going to do anything. Noah can't do that, bro. It's not. You don't sacrifice your career for somebody else. If you're Noah, you're trying to take his spot. No matter how much you practice with him, it's about competition. Chase one says, Big O making me a smarter sports fan. Well, wow, that's I don't think I've ever heard me making anybody smart. But thank you, Chase. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you. Captain Swole says the statement Flo made about not wanting to trade X increased X's value tremendously. Flo and Greer slick. Yeah, that's right. They're not calling people. People are calling them. People are making offers, and they're going to sit back and they're going to tell Bill O'Brien no and no and no, and Bill O'Brien will come back and make it a better deal and make it a better deal. And that's what Chris Greer is doing to other people right now. He's working them against each other. X already stated what he wanted. Not really. Not really. He just said that he got paid less than Byron Jones. He didn't say exactly what he wanted. Never said that. Never said, oh, give me exactly what Byron Jones is making. Never said that. And none of it, that statement in it, I can read it if you want. I can go find it. He never said exactly, oh, I want exactly the money that Byron Jones is making. Never said that. He just said that he's getting paid. He's not even the highest paid corner on his own team. That's what he said. Let's see. Oh, Ira did make a good point in the interview yesterday about extending Butler. I forgot what he said, but it made a lot. Oh, he said that, that if you don't pay him, then you've got to, put up with the petulant child for the next year or two if he becomes the way he was in some other spots. And I would say, fine, whatever, bro. So listen, in the end, they did what they were. The only thing they could do. They have no access. Lee Morrison, thank you, sir. Love on Venmo. Appreciate you, man. That's very, very kind. Thank you, man. So, it's just one of those things where, again, the threat of him becoming, bitter or whatever, it is what it is. I think it's a lot worse to commit that contract to him. I think it's irresponsible. Look, Riley took the gamble, bro. He went with older guys. Old contracts, overpaid contracts, and now he's got to hope that these old guys can stay together and stay healthy because they have no shot at young superstars. They have no draft picks. They have no ammo whatsoever. They have made all these decisions in the past that have put them in a very limited situation. And we want Riley to create magic where there is no magic. He has no draft picks. He has nothing. He doesn't have a bunch of young guys that people want. And when they wanted Tyler and they would have given you something, that was last year after the bubble. After this season, that value dried up. And you're not trading Bam, right? Because you could get something great for Bam in return, but you're not going to trade Bam. It's a piece you build around. So that's the problem. They've put themselves in a position where they're extremely limited. And I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of the Lowry contract. I'm not a fan of this Butler contract. I just don't think that you tie yourself down to older players this way. And I don't even know if they're going to be able to hold up. And that's, Omar Lopez says, I'm throwing up too. Yeah, it's a desperate situation. But I get it. This is the only way they can build the team. This is their best chance. Not that it's really a contender, but hey, man, Brooklyn is so injury prone. You never know. You might get lucky down the stretch, and then it's Milwaukee that you've got to get through. That's it. So I guess they're hoping for luck to fall in the way. Ray says, howdy, everybody. This is great on Saturday. Thank you, you think next week's exhibition, Tua and the starters play the first and second quarters, I presume? I don't think they'll play the second quarter. I think they'll play the first quarter. I think they'll build it up. Omar says, lose X and the defense regresses. Maybe, maybe not. You know, obviously the common sense tells you lose X, yeah, you should suffer a setback. There's no doubt about it. But who's to say you're not a great front office? As I've said before, I know Noah doesn't look good now, but that doesn't mean he can't turn out to be a good corner. Same guy that drafted X, drafted Noah. Same guy that drafted Minka, drafted Javon Holland. Same guy that drafted Tunsil, drafted Austin Jackson. So if he can find good players in the first wave, why can't some of the players in the second wave be good too? I'm not one of those guys that's going to overreact right away on all of this. We got to give people some time. Miami Sports 5 says there's no chance that X will purposely blow a coverage in a game or something to be petty, right? He would be disrespecting his teammates that love him, and it'll also hurt his value for the future of the team. You, Miami Sports 5, are 100% right, sir. Hello, say I bought a condo but did not understand what I signed. Come on, X. Bruto or bad agent. Both. X wasn't smart, and he had a bad agent. It's both. Okay? We blame the agent, but I'm blaming X more than the agent. Right? You're getting a divorce. You're just going to do whatever your lawyer says, or you're going to make sure you get the best deal possible in the divorce, right? You are, right? You buy a house, you buy a car, you make any agreement, bro. You're going to read and make sure you're not getting screwed here and all of this. Phil Montgomery says, let's be honest. He didn't hit her. He pushed her. It wasn't right, but huge difference. I'm sorry, Phil, were you there? Ronell Ulysses, it's a business both ways. Why can't Howard approach it like a business? Okay, you signed the contract. It's over. You been in business, bro? You been in business? You get out of your contracts? I must have missed that. So when you sign the lease of that car, you're about 6 months in. Do you drive into the dealership? You know, I want to rework this deal. I don't want this car anymore, man. I want to give it back to you guys. You guys can sell it, right? Yeah, you know, I'm done, right, guys? I don't need any more. Yeah, sure, dude. Of course. Yeah, it's a business. It's a business. Yeah, you signed your damn contract. Play it. That's the business, dude. That's the life you live. That's the life I live. I love how we're such fans. Okay, not only are we such fans, we're such
blind ass fan alert. Look out, everyone. We've got a blind ass fan coming through.
We want them. We were such fans that we want them to live this extreme life that we never will enjoy. No, rework his deal, because that's how life is. That's a business. Yeah, let me see you get out of these contracts you signed now. Go tell Best Buy now that you got that computer on 6 months, no interest, and 3 months in. Hey, you know what? I don't want to pay this anymore. Well, why don't you go do that, bro? Let's see how your credit score works out. It's a business. Do you do business? Do you sign contracts? Ronell, come on, baby. Let's go. Step into reality, man. Duck Dog 1104, thank you. Oh, you're spot on. That's why I love you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. GP Trap says he was hurt, out, still got paid. I mentioned that stuff on social media. Shuts everyone up. Lee Michael Morrison says, good morning from El Rey de Gringos in Hialeah. Smash the like button. That's right, baby. Smash it. And the like button, too. Gota Viola says, Bam is our future. We are going to have to rely on him to recruit. Oh, he's not there yet, bro. He's a terrific player, but I don't think he's the guy that Oh, yeah, let's go, because he's not an offensive player. If he was an offensive stud, then yes. Unless he's Charles Woodson or Rod Woodson, I only see X regressing. He's 28 years old. You know, Captain Swole TV, I got to tell you something, bro. That makes a ton of sense. He's had several knee scopes. You can't expect it to get better. And I've talked about this too. Maybe X is also negotiating and trying to get as much money because he knows the clock is ticking on those knees. 90 miles from Cuba says, good morning. Next man up if we lose X. I think Flo isn't worried. Sean Campbell says Jesse Davis and Rob Hunt open a big hole in the first play, and Gaskin is off to the races. I like it. In Flo we trust. Bone says we lost X and Needham stepped up. I think we'll do it again. Big Papa 6969. Why aren't you a fan of X? You see? There you go.
Blind ass fan alert. Look out, everyone. We've got a blind ass fan coming through.
See, when fans can't decipher or let's use a word that we like to use on this show. Fans can't compartmentalize comments like, oh, why aren't you a fan of X? Sure, I'm a fan of X, the player, but I can compartmentalize one from the other. X the player and X the person are two different things. X the player on the field is phenomenal. X the person is a disaster. That's all. Pretty simple. You can't separate the two. Right? Pac-Man Jones, right? Although it's a little bit extreme to compare X to him, but still. Pac-Man Jones could play some football. He could also do a lot of stupid-ass stuff. So it's two different people. X, the person, well, he puts himself in positions that end up hurting himself. And apparently now his team, whether it's a domestic issue, whether it's not understanding your contract, and now you're holding in, that's on X, not on anybody else, dude. If you can't handle the truth, my man, Big Papa 6969, I can't help you, my man. Has nothing to do with disliking the player. The player is awesome. Separate the two, my man. Understand what we're talking about. Okay, you have to separate. If you can't do that, I'm sorry, man. But it has nothing to do with disliking the player. Okay, I dislike the person making terrible decisions all the time. And this is another one of his terrible decisions because he's a screw up and didn't understand his contract. He should have never said that. He should have never, ever said that he didn't understand his contract. You know why? There's zero sympathy for that. Zero. You just sign contracts, or do you actually go and read them? Do you actually try to find out what the hell you're signing? Common sense tells you that. Didn't do his homework, bro. Sorry. I'm not, again, I'm old school, man. It's your responsibility. You can't keep up with your responsibilities. That's your problem, not mine. But now you're making the Dolphins handle your problem because you didn't understand your contract. And then you lie on the IG post. I've been on that deal playing on that deal for 2 years. That's a flat out lie. You didn't play on it in the first year. You barely played. You completely stole the money that year. How convenient. You know what? Extra get into politics. Good at misleading. Do you see us extending Agba? Yeah, if he has a good year this year. 3/4 of the way in, he's kicking ass. They give him a new deal. They're not going to give him a new deal on 1 year. Again, prove it, bro. 1 year isn't enough. It's kind of like what I just said. You signed a fat-ass deal. You had a terrible first year because you were injured and had the domestic issue. Then you have this great year, and you come back like, no, I want more money. What are you talking about, dude? You just did 1 year on this deal. Give me a couple more years, and then we'll talk. That kind of stuff. Same thing with Agba. Agba's never done what he did last year. You don't give him money right now. You wait till he comes back this year. He starts to kick ass, and then you say, okay, we got something. And now you negotiate while you're in season, so you kind of have a little leverage, and you could give him some guarantees next year, and he can already feel like, okay, but you do this like in game 12. That way, he's kind of teetering like, okay, if I play these next 5 games, I could blow out my knee and not have this money on the table. And he takes it. That's what smart teams do. And watch that they probably will do that. If he's having a good year, they will negotiate something 3/4 of the way. I just kind of think that that's going to happen. Jamie Zodia says, I think X has a good agent, but X wanted the money up front, and later he realized that was a bad decision. No, he had a bad agent. He had a bad agent. And that's why they fired him. He's got a good agent now. David Cantor's a good agent, bro. But he's going to be a hardline agent. He's going to be a hard ass. Guaranteed X around 20 mil this year and void the last 2 years of his contract. Somebody already mentioned that you can't do that, Brock, because then you lose all leverage to trade him, because then he becomes a free agent at the end of the year. And then what are you going to do? Tag him? And when you tag him, ladies and gentlemen, they're hard cap numbers. You can't play with it like you can with a signing bonus that you can then extend it over the life of the contract and backload it. So then that way the contract increases as the years go on, and so does the cap. Whereas if you cut off his contract and only pay him for this year, and then next year he's a free agent, what are you going to do? Just let him walk out for no compensation? That's not very good. That's not a good GM. You know what I mean? And then what are you going to do? Tag him? And then if you can't come to an agreement, he has to play on the tag. And if the tag is $18 million, it's $18 million of hard cap space that you will lock out of your cap. Can't do that. Not sure if some of you understand some of these rules when it comes to salaries. You're right, Big O. X should honor the contract. If we did it in our jobs, we would be fired. Yep, exactly. Has to do with him signing a contract and now going back on it. It's a business. Yep. No, that's why I don't have any sympathy for you. Learn your damn lesson, bro. Be smart. And the next time you go buy a car, make sure you read what the hell you're signing. When you go to Best Buy, make sure you read and you know what the hell you're signing. And when you buy a house, make sure you read and you know what the hell you're signing. And when you get married, make sure you read and you know what you're signing. In his case, because, you want a prenup. But X, by the way, you want prenups, you want things like that. You want to protect yourself. Just, I guess he needs financial tips. Let's see. If X wants Ramsey money, then he should be able to get Ramsey trade package, right? I like you, Chris. I like you. I definitely don't think the Dolphins are in the wrong. Just think we should try to keep him. I get what you're saying, though. Thanks for explaining. There you go, Big Pop. Appreciate you. Isai says, GM Big O, I feel Noah will get it turned around. Jamar Taylor, Sean Smith turned it around on other teams and Dolphins cut him. Yeah. Remember, he was a receiver a couple years ago in Auburn, and then they switched him to corner at Auburn. This kid doesn't naturally think like a corner yet. So he's got to make mistakes. Unfortunately. I mean, how many jobs did you and I start over the years where you make mistakes early on? And then you figure it out, and then you get in a groove and you're good. Same thing. Gotta give him a little time. Let's see. X is hurting right now. That's why the tone has quieted down on that trade. So they just be paying him extra money for the handicap. Papa, I don't think he's hurting at all, dude. I'm telling you, Papa Hog, I don't think there's no ankle injury. That's just a bunch of crap. Richard, does he really have an ankle injury? No, he doesn't, by the way. Jamie, Big O, tell IRS I didn't read my contract, so I don't know. I had to pay taxes. Maybe they'll understand. Cordero says reports of a Waddle injury. Let me see. Jalen Waddle is still handling his kickoff duties, but Brian Flores did just check on him. Okay. All right. So apparently they checked on him, but apparently it's not a serious injury, I guess. Let's see. I'm looking at it here. I have the feed. I don't see anything that says he's out right now. Let's see. Alan Poupar says, looks like Omar Kelly was on something. Jalen Waddle clearly limping, returning to the huddle after running a play. Let's see. What else do we have here? Solomon Kinley on the ground, Omar Kelly tells us. I'm looking here. By the way, no Xavien Howard during the 11-on-11s. Mr. Reed, Jalen Waddle is wearing a compression sleeve on his right calf. I'll leave it at that. And let's see, what else do they have about Jalen Waddle? Dolphins are in pads today again, and Xavien Howard is among them. It seems that he intends to practice. I don't know what that is. Called out by NFLPA. Let's see, what do we have here? So he's wearing a compression sleeve. I don't see anything else yet that says. Hopefully it's just a ding. Let's hope so, folks. Let's hope Waddle's all right. Let's see, what else do we have here? X don't miss 21-20. X gives us false snap drive to win, knock out the Pats for the top spot. Then we talk. Kyle Van Noy signed the contract and they cut him a year after. Yep, they did. That's right. They did. And I think it was because of Van Ginkel, and they had less money in the cap this year. So they had to adjust to what was going on with the financials of everything going on. All right, I'm trying to see if there's anything new on the Waddle front. See if anybody is reporting anything, because they're all there at camp watching the practices. But at the moment, at least, let's hope it's not anything serious. Let's hope it's just a little bit of a tweak. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Jalen Waddle is still handling his kickoff duties, but Brian Flores did check on him. So that's 6 minutes ago. So if he's still handling his kickoff duties, it's not terrible. Okay. He absolutely did not look like he was limping last week, though, Allen says. Okay. All right. It's a wait and see, folks. I can't tell you anything. I'm not there. Plus, we really won't know until later on if he's out of practice or anything down the line. But if he's still handling his punt return duties, it can't be that serious, right? It can't be that bad. All right. So that's all I can tell you there. I wouldn't mind trading X, but please get a good return. Felix, that's this front office has gotten good return on all their trades. So that's probably what they're doing. They're going to wait till they get the right deal before they trade him. I think, ladies and gentlemen, they know that Noah is still developing. I think they want to hang on to X so they can have the best season. Remember, I want to remind you of this. You have a coach in Coach Flo that wants to win every single game that he coaches. While we had idiots that kept talking about tanking in the year one, and all those people were wrong. Every single one of them was dead wrong about tanking in year one. They tore it down to go young, but they were trying to win every game. It's just hard to win with young. But as the year went on, the team got better, they played better, and they kept winning games. That it pissed some of you off because they couldn't tank for Tua, because they won so many games and they ended up winning 5 of 9 in the second half of the season, which is the time you tank, actually. That's why all the tanking stuff was silly. It made no sense. It's kind of like the Tua stuff with Watson. All these people writing about, oh, no, they're trying to trade for Watson. They were never trying to trade for Watson. They've been committed to Tua from the get-go. Same thing here. They kept writing that they were tanking, and they weren't clearly tanking. They were trying to win. So this is a guy that wants to win, and they know that they're going to be a better team with X this year, and they want to make the playoffs this year. There's 17 games this year. You want to take advantage of all of this. You're on the rise. You got a bunch of young guys that are getting better, and guys get better on this team. That's the other thing. That's why I give Noah some hope. That's why I even give Dieter hope and some of these other cats, because these guys coach up their players and make them better. I truly feel they don't want to trade X unless it's a Laramie Tunsil type deal that approaches them at this point in time. And right now, I don't know if there's a team that's willing to make the Laramie Tunsil type deal. So I think they want to keep him this year. They've got him by the balls. They've got him under contract. If he wants to go the Le'Veon Bell way, then go ahead, dude. Ruin it for yourself. You won't make money this year, and you won't make as much money as you want in the future because they're going to say, why are we going to acquire a malcontent that has some knee injuries and also has a domestic violence background? So it's up to him to screw his head on right and actually start doing things and think, unlike what he did with his contract. So I think they want to keep him on the roster, play him out this year, try to win a title. I mean, to try to win as many games as possible. And, well, try to win a title too, because everybody wants to win a title, but at least get in the playoffs this year, right? That's the realistic thing, is get in the playoffs. And then next year in the offseason, you then trade him. And that's it. That's all, man. I think that's what they want to do in a perfect world. And they're just going to stretch it out. And as I told you earlier this week, there's a part of me that says maybe they also just want to give him a couple $1 million here as a, an incentive or whatever that he can reach easily, just to shut him up for this year and then trade him in the offseason. Maybe that's what the conversations are about. Maybe the conversations are that, hey, we want Jalen Ramsey money. I don't know. I'm just taking a stab because they don't talk enough about it. But obviously there's a disconnect somewhere. Folks, don't forget to smash the hell out of the like button. It is very important that you smash the hell out of the like button. Appreciate all of you out there. Jim Brown was always limping too. Next year, we will have a lot of cap money. Just find a way to get X signed. Raul says, Big O, you are doing a great job. Love your show. You talk the truth all the time. Thank you, sir. David Pridham says, how about Abbott this X? Ross gives $10 million donation to charity of your choice in your name. Ross gets the tax write-off, and you get a great cause, and the $10 million in your name shows the team respects you. Yeah, that's not David. He wants his own money, bro. He doesn't want to give it to any charity. He wants it in his pocket, and the agent wants his commission. That's not going to get the agent any commission either. Okay, all right. Best pizza spot in Kendall, Steve's. Justin Cordero, Steve's Pizza, Kendall Drive, and 157th Avenue. It's right in that light. There's a Sedano's in that shopping center, and a Wendy's and a Subway's. See, fat people know where all the food spots are. And then Steve's Pizza is there. In Kendall, I would go Steve's Pizza. It's the same Steve's Pizza from Biscayne Boulevard and 115th, 115th, 118th, whatever it is, something like that, right? Or 125th, maybe. Something like that. That's Steve's Pizza. This is the sister store, and it's there on Kendall Drive and 157th. That I would go there in Kendall. Okay, there's a couple of decent spots in Kendall, but my favorite out of all of them, probably Steve's. Yeah. If not, I would go to Frankie's on Bird and 94th, but that's not Kendall. That's not considered Kendall. Or is it? No, it's not, right? It's a Huachete. That's still Huachete. Yeah, that's not Kendall. That's Huachete. Because you still have to go through horse country first, and then you'll get to the Kendall area. Okay, so there you go, Justin. Tony Santana says, great show, Big O. I've always liked the facts that you call it like you see it. Great respect for you, brother. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate you. Very nice. NorCal says, love X Factor talent, but he's 100% malcontent and lost my respect. He's already lost value. Let's see. Isai says, there's another Steve's Pizza in Cutler Bay. Really? Where in Cutler Bay? I didn't know that. They have a third location? That's pretty cool. I like the one here by Kendall. I visited all. I had Steve's Pizza last night, actually. Now that I remembered last night, the wife and I actually had a couple slices at Steve's Pizza. Any plans to do a fantasy football show? I don't know yet, man. I don't know if the fantasy football stuff is going to fly, and I don't know how much traction it's going to get, man. I'm thinking about it. There's a lot of things that we do, but yeah. Maybe we will. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I'm trying to work on all the other stuff, all the other elements. We're going to add another element next week. Hopefully, we'll get that finalized and we'll add that, but we're going to keep building it up. I can promise you that. And remember, we're going to be at Sports Grill on Bird Road in Miami Lakes for our Dolphins pre and post game shows. Half the season in one, half the season in the other. We're not going to go back and forth week to week, so you guys have to guess. We'll tell you, hey, the first 8 weeks we'll be here. The next 9 weeks we'll be there. Well, actually 8 and 8 because it's a bye week. No, there's 17 games. No, it's 8 and 9. That's right. So there'll be whatever. That bye week is the only time that we won't be at Sports Grill. That's right. So I know fantasy is huge, my brother. Trust me, okay? I'm the guy that started Fantasy Talk on radio in South Florida. So, yes, trust me, okay? I'm the guy that 25 plus years ago, I'm fighting with Duff Lindsay and Greg Reed and Josh Darrow and telling them, hey, fantasy is going to be huge and all that stuff. You know, so trust me, I know fantasy, but I mean, it's done all over the place so much. You know what I mean? It's just our show's a little bit different. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll add it. Rosendo says, agree with the Dolphins stance on X. However, X is an NFL player where the average career is about 3 to 5 years. He's trying to get the most of his playing career. Question is, are we guaranteed that he's going to have 5 more years or 4 more years with those knees? You don't know. Are you sure that he's never going to have another domestic issue ever again? Are you sure he's not going to complain about his contract again? There's so much baggage there that it gets to a point where it's just frustrating, to be honest, completely honest on that, you know? So that's kind of my problem with this whole thing. So what can I tell you? All right, we are going to wrap it up here on the show. We will see you on Monday. I appreciate all of you for tuning in to this special edition of a Saturday. Remember, we're on Monday through Friday, just in case you just ran into our show. We start off at 10 a.m. every day. Ira Winderman is one of our insiders. He's on Tuesdays and Fridays. He's on Wednesdays also with Clay Ferraro doing Inside the Paint from 10 to 11 a.m. They do an hour of hardcore Heat and NBA talk. That happens all week long here on our show. So you can catch Ira on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Manny Navarro twice a week with our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report Tuesdays and Fridays. Omar Kelly is also our insider here on our show Mondays and Fridays with the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report. Alan Poupart, who you saw earlier on the show today, he's going to join us Tuesdays and Sundays normally for the broadcast, but since we're not doing the pre and post right now, we'll do some Saturdays now, and we'll give you 6 days a week, because once the regular season starts, we're going to be on 6 days a week because of the pre and post game shows. So we got a lot of great insiders that are tied to our show exclusively here. We're going to add more, by the way. So these folks you can only find here on our program. So please subscribe to the show. You can find it on all platforms at Big O Radio Show. Big O Radio Show. Subscribe, smash the like button, share the link with folks out there, the podcast, YouTube, whatever it is. So we're on every day at 10 a.m. We appreciate all of you out there for tuning in. We will see you on Monday. Same time, same place, same bat channel.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.